Afternoon. This is an exciting day for me, I think, and for the entire district and the city. And that, I first heard about this program well over a year and a half ago, before I even ran for office. And when I was working in the communities and neighborhoods across the city, after working to rebuild their homes, the next thing they wanted was access to fresh fruits and vegetables. And that really was what we heard consistently across the neighborhoods and across the entire city. And so that's why I'm so thrilled to be standing here, because I know the importance of it. In District C alone, General Meyer, St. Claude, Broad, Claiborne have not had grocery stores post-Katrina. It's a significant issue of lack of equity and fairness and accessibility. And so this is really going to solve those problems all the way around. And I just also want to thank the administration, because when I did first hear about this program a year and a half ago, it was not a one-for-one match. It was a 50-1 match. So the city was going to put up $7 million in disaster CDBG dollars, and Hope was going to put up 3.5. And now to find out that it's a one-for-one match, I think we all know why you were called Hope. And so for that, I do want to thank you all for that, and thank you for allowing us to be here.
Very special thank you to the mayor and to the Food Initiative and to Hope and to all of the different groups that are involved in bringing this initiative to the community, to the city of New Orleans. I, like everyone who has stood here and said what they had to say, really appreciate the opportunity to participate in this process because I represent a district in District E that includes the Lower Ninth Ward, New Orleans East, Desire, Florida, that really and truly can benefit and hopefully will benefit from this program. We don't have one single supermarket in the Lower Ninth Ward. Not one. None in Desire, Florida, and in New Orleans East, a community the size of New Orleans East, we've got exactly one supermarket. So hopefully an initiative like this will drive the effort to bring more fresh food in more supermarkets, in more opportunities for economic development and expansion to those communities that need it the most. And I just really appreciate the administration and all of the partners stepping up to the plate, realizing and recognizing the fact that there's a need for these kinds of initiatives in the city, in these neighborhoods, in these communities. And we know that those communities, neighborhoods, residents are going to benefit significantly from these kinds of activities. And just as one council person, I'm looking forward to working with Hope and the initiative and the administration, Amy and Dr. DeSalvo and everybody who's going to be involved in this effort to make it a reality and to make it happen, and thereby making these communities better and making the people, the residents who live in these communities, a lot more healthy.
Thank you. Unfortunately, Councilmember-at-Large Arnie Fielkow could not be here because of the passing of his father, and we obviously offer, our sincere condolences. But I do want to recognize that he was one of the early members of the Food Advisory Initiative and helped initiate this idea. Before I end, Councilmember Johnson, you always pique my sense of nostalgia, because as Councilmember Johnson always reminds us about the needs in Lower 9 in New Orleans. He says it's a citywide program, but it is absolutely true that it is a tool that can be used by the areas that you spoke of. But when you were speaking, my mind was hearkening back to when I was a little boy, and my mom and them needed to make groceries. And there were 9 of us in the family, so somebody always got grabbed and said, we're out of something. Now, we grew up on the corner of Prius Street and General Pershing in the middle of Broadmoor, the lowest physical point in the city. That means when it gets wet, it gets really wet right there, for those of you that are not from here. And I could leave my front door, and I could go 2 blocks up and over, 2 blocks up and over, 2 blocks up and backwards in 4 directions, and get to a corner store that sold fresh fruit, fresh vegetables, and a little pudding, if that's what your mama was having for dessert. But back in the day, that's what it was like. So we all remember Circle Foods. We all remember in the neighborhoods that we grew up in, the ability to be able very easily, anybody, to be able to ride a bike and walk and get something that you needed in a very short period of time. And so I'm just really excited because I believe this initiative, again, we're not giving somebody something, we're giving people the opportunity. We're providing credit, we're providing space. This is a public-private partnership. This is a new model that we think is going to yield great benefit for the city of New Orleans and help rebuild us one neighborhood at a time, one brick at a time, one community at a time. And again, I just want to thank everybody for all of their work. It took a tremendous amount of patience. It took a lot of foresight. It took a lot of courage. It took a lot of thought. It took a lot of willingness to go back and redo again until we get it right. And at the end of the day, it took saying, look, we're going to put something on the ground. And so I've always said, and this, of course, has particular resonance today, New Orleans is where hope hits the streets. And that's surely true today. So God bless all of you, and thank you. We'll be happy to answer any questions.
This is a question for Ms. Lehman. In your previous work with this model, have you seen it succeed in areas that have the kind of population gridlock that the lower Ninth Ward has? And if so, can you elaborate on what it took to convince developers to take advantage of this in those kind of areas?
We have seen it work in areas like the Ninth Ward. So we were talking about this earlier. One of the things we're really going to be looking to do in this program is doing some pretty significant outreach. Because one of the things that makes these kind of programs very successful, as we've been able to see in Pennsylvania and now in New York, is to find truly great high-quality operators. And there's some pretty fabulous, a lot of them are guys, so I'll say some pretty fabulous guys out there. There are some women too doing this, but for example, in Pennsylvania, there's a guy named Jeff Brown. He was actually lucky enough to be last year, not this year, at the State of the Union address behind the First Lady. He's a pretty innovative person who was willing to take a risk and see what it was like to open up a really high quality, gorgeous store in an area like a very low income area. It really can be done. We've seen it, and I know it can be done here in New Orleans.
And where was that grocer located?
He opened up in an area of Southwest Philadelphia, and called Island Avenue. We've also seen another grocer, and a great example is Pat Burns, and he opens up, he runs a supermarket called Fresh Grocer, and he also he opened up a few different stores through the program. One of them was in Progress Plaza, one of the oldest African-American run shopping centers in the country, and this was an area that hadn't had a grocery store in over 20 years. Pat told me himself he's making, I think, 20% above the profits he had anticipated in that area. The demand is there. Everybody eats. Everybody wants fresh food. We need to find some really great operators, and I know we can do it here. And with working with Hope and with others, we're going to be on the ground and finding guys like Jeff and like Pat Burns and others.
John? Yes, just without getting too tiresome.
Oh, sure.
What are the nuts and bolts of applying for one of these grants, and is there a timetable?
I don't know, Bill, if you want to do this one, I can do it, but yeah. Well, you can help me with it. We're launching a website today, so this is the good news. There's going to be an application that you can... Oh, I'm sorry.
What's the URL?
It's going to be available on the
we'll have the link on the homepage of the city website, and here's also the website, www.hope-ec.org. So we'll have the application up there. We'll also have folks that people can call and have answers directly, answered. And I don't know if you wanted to add anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at this website that's listed on here, it's live right now. You can go on. There is a lot of information, more information than we've delivered today on the site about the program, including applications. There will be a two-phased application process. The first phase is eligibility. The second is on the financing phase. We expect the process will take, could take about 6 weeks, 2 months to get through it. There's also an environmental review as part of the process, and so that will also be part of the time.
If I can follow up, this has been an issue that I've been hearing about for years, and it's important, but it's been difficult to get people who do more than provide junk food to go into some neighborhoods. What makes you feel this is going to work, or other initiatives haven't?
Well, Well, for one, we think that we've designed a very smart model based on national best practices that have worked in other jurisdictions. We brought the best partners to the table to assist us with that, including the Food Trust, who's got national experience with this. We feel very, very confident in their ability, as well as Hope, that's got a lot of experience in the community working with our local business leaders to implement development like we're talking about here. So we feel really strongly that this is a smart model and it's set up to succeed.
And I assume there'll be some sort of inspection follow-up once these stores get moving to make sure they're not.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Ariel.
Can you actually explain how the Food Trust will be working with the city to evaluate candidates?
Sure. So we'll be working with the city and with Hope. We'll have a person that, well, more than one person. We'll have a couple staff that'll be here on the ground. We're based in Philadelphia, but we'll have staff that come out here and spend a lot of time here. We'll be doing aggressive outreach marketing to different grocers. Another part that was critical to the process that everybody was involved in was making sure that before we came up with this program, the grocers themselves were a key component to this. We had grocers co-chairing the task force that came together with the recommendation for this program. We made sure that there were grocers, other grocers involved with the conversation from beginning to end. And having their input is critical and their buy-in from the beginning. So rather than launching a program and saying, hey, guess what, we have this program, the grocers were involved from the very beginning and told us what they thought would be useful for them. Also, as part of the application process, we'll be asking the grocers to apply. We're going to have them tell us where they think they can be successful. And so that might mean renovating an existing store in an area that really needs it. And it might mean them telling us, hey, I think that this particular area of the city is going to be dynamite, but I need your help.
Do you have an idea of how many stores you're going to have?
I think it's too early to say. I don't know if you remember.
I think so. The average loan size is expected to be
500, 750. It could be Garrett. You probably know better than I. About 500.
The max.
Millions we have,
About
right?
7 to 10.
So 7 to 10, and again, the one-to-one match is our initial commitment. If there is additional demand, then we intend to try to respond to that demand. We hope that we'll be pushed to put grocery stores throughout the city, but we've got $14 million to start with, which I think is a great way to get out of the gate.
Mr. Mayor, one question is, you talked about bringing other businesses in to a grocery area. Councilman Johnson had brought it up in New Orleans East. The groceries is the ones that draw other businesses like clothing stores and other different things. Can you talk about the significance of that with this program?
There's no question about it. Rod is as Amy introduced him, standing to the left, who is going to focus like a laser beam on retail and other economic development generators, especially when you're talking about the East, you're talking about the lower 9th Ward. You hear us talk a lot about place-based development. What that really means is that we try to find anchors around which other things will grow. So schools obviously are anchors to the community. Grocery stores are one as well. And then, as Bill told you a little bit earlier, what happens is other businesses begin to ferment when they see something live happening on a corner. So all of you have seen this as you drive around the city of New Orleans when one particular corner of a corner gets a nice space. It's not too long before the competitor actually goes right across the street. You see this happening on Napoleon and Claiborne right now, where Walgreens is being visited by CVS because that's where people are moving to. And so the same thing is true about food stores, supermarkets, and retail outlets as well, which is why it's important to have the financing in place so that you can attract the right individuals. Those folks can run businesses that make it, and then when that happens, one thing seems to see the next. When we lay on top of that our place-based development strategy and think about where we're actually going to put schools, then you'll see specific corners of neighborhoods begin to come back, and then you'll have different uses all at one time, from retail to food to school use to playground to firehouse, police station, and then all of the other commercial kinds of uses follow that as well. Take John and we'll take one more.
When do you expect the first store to be open?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know the answer to that, but let me say this. I hope soon. We've been pushing this very, very hard. Of course, today was the first step. This has a couple of different components. I think what Yael said earlier on, if you picked, is finding the right people and the right providers. So we're actually going to do outreach it shouldn't be that hard because we have been working with people who we know want to take advantage of the program. So much like the Goldman Sachs Small Business Initiative, the Urban League was used to actually go out and identify the first 30 businesses. It happened very quick. That happened within 60 days. So I'm expecting something very quick to happen here as well. Now that the capital's available, the program's available, the rules are clear, we now know who's interested. Now we just need to go out and recruit them and then make sure that the model works for a particular neighborhood. And I'm hoping to be able to announce something sooner rather than later on a regular basis. Y'all got that? On time, on task, and under budget. Yes.
It's gonna be on something else, Mayor. If you could take on.
Can you wait until
Sure.
after we finish this?
Sure.
And then we'll take Ben and then we're done.
Sure.
Will there be any, when you're evaluating applicants, will there be any flexibility given to people who want to open in areas that are especially challenged? For example, would you look more kindly upon a startup that wants to go into the lower ninth ward versus an established operator that wants to go into the east?
The program is designed to focus on underserved parts of the city, and so census tracts that there are not grocery stores or that don't have grocery stores around them will be given priority treatment.
But as underserved and as really underserved.
No, the degree will make a difference in our analysis.
All right, thank you. All right, thank you all. Any poll signs, I'll wait for you guys. Thank you everybody that was involved in this. We appreciate your time.